Every garden has that one corner, the spot behind the garage, the north side of the house, the strip under the oak tree where nothing grows because nothing gets more than 3 or 4 hours of direct sun. Most gardeners look at that ground and see a lost cause. They throw down mulch, maybe park a bench there, and move on. That is a waste of some of the most productive real estate in your yard. Here is what the nursery tag will never tell you. Dozens of food plants did not evolve in open fields. They evolved on forest floors, under canopies, in the kind of dappled light that your shady corner already provides for free. The plants that thrive there are not sad compromises. Some of them are among the most expensive, most flavorful, and most nutritious edibles you can grow. Restaurants charge $20 a pound for one of them. Another one kept entire mining camps alive through scurvy season. If you have been ignoring your shady spots, you have been ignoring an advantage. Today, I am giving you 7 food plants that do not just tolerate shade, they prefer it. Number 1. Ramps. The wild allium that sells for $20 a pound at farmers markets. Ramps are native to the rich, moist, deciduous forests of eastern North America, from Quebec to South Carolina. They grow under sugar maples, beeches, birches, and oaks. Full shade, dense canopy, the kind of conditions that would kill a tomato plant in a week. Both the leaves and the lower white stalks are edible. The flavor lands somewhere between garlic and onion, but more complex than either. Chefs in New York and Chicago lose their minds over ramps every spring because the season is brutally short, usually just 3 to 4 weeks in April. Here is the part most people skip. Ramps take 5 to 7 years from seed to first harvest. That sounds like a long time until you realize they are perennial. Plant them once under your trees and they will spread into a colony that feeds you every spring for the rest of your life. A single established patch can produce for decades with 0 inputs. No fertilizer, no watering, no weeding. The trees do all the work. While everyone else is starting tomato seedlings indoors under grow lights, you will be walking into your backyard woods and harvesting one of the most sought-after ingredients in American fine dining. The catch is patience. The payoff is permanent. Number 2, currants. If you grew up in North America, you probably have never eaten a fresh currant. That is not an accident. The federal government banned currant cultivation in 1911 because Reeves species can host white pine blister rust. That ban lasted most of the 20th century. Europe never stopped growing them. In Britain, black currant juice outsells orange juice. The French turned them into cassis. Meanwhile, Americans forgot currants existed. The ban has been lifted in most states now, but the cultural amnesia remains. Here is why that matters for your shade garden. Currants are one of the very few fruiting shrubs that produce reliably in partial shade. A mature bush in a partly shaded spot will give you 3 to 5 pounds of berries per year. In full shade under a tree canopy, you will still get a couple of pounds. Try getting a blueberry bush to do that. Black currants contain 4 times the vitamin C of oranges by weight. Red currants are loaded with pectin, which means they set into jam almost without trying. The bushes are cold hardy to zone 3, pest resistant, and self-fertile. 1 bush is enough. Planted in that shady corner where your blueberries sulked and died. The currant will not complain. Number 3, miner's lettuce. Claytonia perfoliata. The name comes from the California gold rush, when miners ate it to stave off scurvy in camps where no other fresh greens were available. It worked because 100 grams of this plant delivers 1/3 of your daily vitamin C requirement. It also carries 22% of your vitamin A and 10% of your iron. That is a better nutritional profile than most lettuce varieties you can buy at the grocery store, and this plant grows in the shade on its own. Miner's lettuce actually produces its best quality leaves in dappled shade. Full sun makes it bolt and turn bitter. Shade keeps it tender. The leaves are round, with the stem passing directly through the center, which gives the plant a distinctive look you will not confuse with anything else. It self-seeds aggressively once established. In mild climates, you can harvest from late winter through early summer. In cooler regions, it fills that awkward spring gap when your beds are still too cold for most crops, but you want something fresh. The leaves have a clean, mild flavor, like butter lettuce with a slight mineral edge. Toss them in a salad or use them as wraps. This is not a survival food you choke down out of desperation. It is genuinely good, and it grows where nothing else will. Number 4, Alpine Strawberries. Fragaria vesca. Forget everything you know about grown strawberries. The conventional wisdom says strawberries need full sun, heavy feeding, and constant runner management. That is true for the bloated, flavorless June bearers bred for supermarket shipping. Alpine strawberries are a different animal. These are the original woodland strawberry. They evolved on the forest floor of European and Asian woodlands, and they thrive on as little as 4 hours of sunlight per day. In hot climates, shade actually improves their production. The berries are small, about the size of your thumbnail. Do not let that fool you. The flavor concentration is staggering. One Alpine strawberry has more aromatic intensity than a handful of grocery store berries. The French call them fraises des bois and charge accordingly at Parisian markets. A mature plant produces 2 to 3 berries per week, which sounds modest until you realize they fruit continuously from June through October. 7 or 8 plants will give you about a cup of berries several times a week, all summer long. They form tidy clumps instead of throwing runners everywhere. They make an exceptional edible ground cover under trees or along north-facing borders. Start them from seed for a fraction of the cost of nursery transplants. Number 5. Kale. You already know kale, or you think you do. Most growing guides will tell you kale needs 6 to 8 hours of full sun. That is the recommendation optimized for maximum leaf size in the shortest time, which is what commercial growers care about. You are not a commercial grower. Kale in partial shade, 4 to 6 hours of light, grows slower. The leaves stay smaller and more tender. The flavor actually mellows because the plant produces fewer of the bitter glucosinolates that develop under intense sun stress. If you have ever grown kale in midsummer and wondered why it tasted like chewing on a tire, too much sun and heat was the problem, not too little. Shade-grown kale in the shoulder seasons, spring and fall, is some of the best-tasting kale you will ever eat. Planted on the north side of your taller crops or under the dappled canopy of young fruit trees. Lacinato varieties, the dark crinkled Italian types, handle shade particularly well. You will harvest fewer leaves per picking, but the harvest window extends because the plant bolts much later without the heat stress. Quality over quantity. That is a trade most home gardeners should be making anyway. Number 6. Mint. Most gardeners treat mint like a pest. They plant it, it spreads, they spend years trying to rip it out. That is because they planted it in the wrong spot and then refused to eat it. Mint actually prefers shade over full sun. In bright, hot conditions, the leaves scorch, the oils thin out, and the plant gets leggy and desperate. Impartial to full shade, mint stays compact, the leaves stay dark green, and the essential oil concentration peaks. That is the part most people miss. Shade-grown mint is more flavorful mint. One plant in a shady corner can produce enough fresh leaves for daily tea, cocktails, and cooking from May through October. Dry the excess in late summer and you have a year's supply of tea that would cost you $40 to $60 at a specialty shop. Peppermint and spearmint are the workhorses, but chocolate mint, apple mint, and pineapple mint all thrive in low light. The spreading habit that everyone complains about is actually an advantage in shade. Let it colonize that bare patch under the fence where grass will not grow. Give it the ground nobody else wants. Instead of fighting mint, put it where it belongs and harvest it like the productive perennial herb it is. Number 7. Rhubarb. The anchor of the shade food garden. Rhubarb is a perennial that lives for 15 to 20 years once established. It grows in zones 3 through 8. It laughs at cold winters, and it handles partial shade better than almost any other food-producing plant of its size. A single mature rhubarb crown can produce 8 to 10 pounds of stalks per year. That is enough for pies, jams, sauces, and crisps from one plant taking up 4 square feet of space. The conventional recommendation says full sun. In practice, rhubarb in partial shade produces slightly thinner stalks that are more tender and less fibrous. The harvest season stretches longer because the plant does not bolt as quickly in the heat. If you live anywhere south of Zone 5, shade is actually preferable. The plant suffers in hot summers, and afternoon shade keeps it productive when full sun rhubarb has already gone dormant. Plant it on the east side of a building or under a high tree canopy. Give it rich soil and compost in the fall. Then leave it alone. Rhubarb asks almost nothing and delivers year after year. It is the closest thing to a set-and-forget food factory that shade gardening offers. 7 plants. All of them productive in conditions that most gardeners treat as a write-off. The shady spots in your yard are not liabilities. They are niches. Every ecosystem has them, and the smartest growers learn to fill them instead of fighting them. If you got something useful out of this, subscribe. More videos like this are coming. Next time, we are going deeper